Welcome to James and Alina's Chat, the podcast where we keep it real while you learn English. Hey Alina, how are you holding up today? I have to say, looking out the window right now, it is a bit of a mood.
I feel you, James. The sky is completely leaden. It is definitely a stay inside with a hot tea kind of day. Welcome to all our listeners. Today, we're going to talk about something a bit heavier than usual, but very human, the weight of gray skies, or simply being sad.
Yeah, we are diving into the blues today. But hey, don't worry, we're in this together. Before we start, I should mention that this is an intermediate level episode, around B1 or B2.
That's right, and if you don't catch every single word, that's okay. Don't sweat it. Just relax and listen to the flow of the conversation. You'll pick up more than you think.
Exactly. So here is the roadmap for today. First, we'll talk about how these gray feelings show up in our real lives, the messy parts. While we talk, try to keep an ear out for some specific idioms and phrasal verbs about emotions. And at the end, we'll visit Alina's vocabulary corner to review the best phrases from the chat.
It's a good plan, but James, I think you have a small favor to ask our friends first.
Oh, right, just a tiny favor. If you enjoy learning English with us, please like and subscribe. It really helps us keep making these free episodes for you. It means a lot to us, truly.
It really does. Now, back to that gray sky. It's funny how the weather can just sink into your bones, isn't it? My cat hasn't even moved from the radiator all morning. He just looks at me like I'm responsible for the rain.
I get it. My dog is the same. Usually he's jumping at the door to go for a walk, but today he just looked at the puddles and went back to sleep on my favorite sweater. I think he's got the right idea. Why does a bit of rain make everything feel so heavy?
I think it's because it forces us to slow down. And sometimes when we slow down, those feelings we've been pushing away finally catch up with us.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. My wife is always telling me that I try to run away from my feelings by staying busy, but then I just end up exhausted. Last week, I was so distracted that I actually put the TV remote in the refrigerator next to the milk. I think I was just feeling really out of sorts and didn't want to admit it.
The refrigerator? James, that's a classic sign. But you're right, out of sorts is such a good way to describe it. It's not that you're angry or devastated, you're just not quite yourself. It's like your internal compass is spinning a little bit. My husband gets like that too, especially when he's been working too hard on his engineering plans. He becomes very quiet and just spends hours watching the birds in the garden.
I feel you. I think for me, it's when I start feeling under the weather, but not in a physical way. My head feels heavy. My dog usually notices before I do. He'll come over and drop a dirty sock on my lap, as if to say, "Hey, cheer up, you look miserable." Usually he's terrified of the vacuum, but when I'm in a funk, he's actually the brave one.
That's so sweet. Pets really do have a sixth sense for when we are down in the dumps, don't they? My cat is the same, though she's much more judgmental about it. She'll sit on my laptop and just stare at me until I stop working and acknowledge that I'm stressed. It's important to recognize that spectrum from just a blah afternoon to feeling completely burned out.
Right. Burned out is the big one. That feels like my doom drawer at home. Do you have one of those? A drawer just full of old batteries, broken pens, and receipts from 3 years ago? When I'm burned out, my brain feels exactly like that drawer, just a mess of things that don't work anymore.
Everyone has a doom drawer, James. And yes, that's a perfect metaphor for burnout. It's when you've given so much energy to your job or your family that you have nothing left for yourself. It's more than just a bad day. It's like a cloud hanging over you that won't go away. How about you, listening at home? Do you feel like you have a doom drawer in your head sometimes? How do you describe that feeling when you're just done?
I'd love to know if others feel that way. For a long time, I felt like I had to be on top of the world all the time. My cousin is like that, always posting photos of his perfect hikes and his perfect breakfast. It made me feel like I wasn't allowed to have a gray day. But honestly, trying to be perfect is what makes me feel out of sorts in the first place.
Exactly. We see the highlight reel of everyone else's life, but we feel our own behind-the-scenes struggles. My neighbor, who is 80 years old, always says that the blues are just like the weather. You can't have sunshine every single day, or the garden would dry up. You need a little rain, a little sadness to keep things balanced. The key is learning how to deal with it without letting it take over.
I like that. It makes it feel less like a failure and more like a season. I'm still trying to snap out of the habit of blaming myself for being sad. It's not like I chose to feel this way, right? It just happens.
Precisely. It just happens. And sometimes the harder you try to shake off the feeling, the tighter it grips you. Sometimes you just have to sit with it for a minute. Let the cloud stay for a cup of tea, then let it move on. The tighter it clings. Precisely. Last week was a perfect example for me. I woke up on Tuesday and felt like I was walking through mud. Do you know that feeling? Every small task felt like climbing a mountain.
Oh, I know it well. I usually call it brain fog. It's like your head is full of cotton wool and you can't think straight.
Exactly. I couldn't find my red notebook. It's where I keep all my important notes. And I actually sat down on the kitchen floor and just stayed there for a minute. My cat walked over, looked at me, and honestly, I think he was judging me. He has this way of squinting his eyes that makes me feel very silly.
I feel you. My dog does the same thing, though he's usually just looking for a snack. But Alina, it's funny you say that because I've been hitting a wall lately too. I've been trying to work on that old bookshelf in the garage, but I'm totally stuck in a rut. I just stare at the wood and nothing happens.
It's frustrating, isn't it? When you want to be creative or productive, but the energy just isn't there. We often feel like we're failing if we aren't on all the time. How about you listening at home? Do you ever have those days where even making a piece of toast feels like a massive chore? We'd love to know we aren't the only ones.
I bet everyone has those days. My wife actually tried to help me get started yesterday. She left a little to-do list on the counter, but of course I managed to lose it within 10 minutes. I think I might have put it in the refrigerator when I was getting the milk. Don't ask me why, it's a talent I have.
Oh, James, you really need to get your act together. But in all seriousness, when I was on the floor looking for my notebook, my husband came in and just gave me a cup of tea. He didn't ask why I was on the floor. He just knew I needed to write it out.
Write it out. I like that phrase. It sounds like waiting for a storm to pass instead of trying to fight the wind.
That's exactly what it is. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your rain cloud is to stop apologizing for it and just let it rain for a while. It's part of the process.
I guess I should stop being so hard on myself about the bookshelf then. Maybe the wood isn't going anywhere and I just need a break. But it's hard when you feel like you're falling behind, you know?
I definitely know. We compare our behind-the-scenes mess with everyone else's highlight reel. It's a recipe for feeling blue. It makes us feel like we're failing at life. It's like looking at a perfect photo while your own kitchen is a disaster.
Exactly. That's it, exactly. And you know, Alina, sometimes I get this really weird feeling. Everything is fine on paper. My wife is happy, my dog didn't even eat a single sock today, which is a miracle, by the way, and work was quiet. But I still feel this heavy lump in my throat. I can't explain it.
A lump in your throat. That's a very natural way to describe that feeling of being on the verge of tears, even when you don't know why. It's like your body is holding on to something your mind hasn't figured out yet.
Yeah, and then I feel guilty. I think, James, snap out of it. You have a good life. I feel like I'm being ungrateful. I usually try to bottle it up and just keep moving, you know? I'll go clean my junk drawer or something just to stay busy.
I feel you, James. We all do that. But when you bottle up your emotions, they don't just disappear. They stay there. Listeners, how about you? Have you ever felt that way? Like you're carrying a heavy bag, but your hands are empty? Do you feel like you have to be okay all the time?
I really hope I'm not the only one. It's hard to just sit there with that feeling. It makes me want to run away or fix something immediately.
That's the thing. We feel like we have to face the music and be productive, or find a solution for sadness. But sometimes the best thing to do is just let it be. My husband is great at this. He'll just go sit in the garden for an hour when he's stressed. He doesn't try to fix the stress. He just lets it sit next to him.
I'm not very good at letting things sit. I usually try to sweep it under the rug and pretend everything is perfect. I'm always worried my neighbor is watching me from her window and thinking I've lost my mind because I'm staring at a tree.
Oh, James, cut yourself some slack. Who cares what the neighbor thinks? If you're feeling that lump in your throat, it's your heart's way of saying it needs a break. Even my cat does this. If he's overwhelmed, he just goes under the bed and stays there. He doesn't care about his highlight reel.
That's true. Cats are experts at self-care. I guess it's okay to not be okay for a while. You don't always have to be on the mend or getting better. Sometimes you just are.
Exactly. Just sitting with the feeling without trying to change it is a huge step. It's uncomfortable at first, but it's how we actually heal. It's much better than waiting until you're at a loss for words because you're so overwhelmed.
I like that. So if you're listening right now and you've got that lump in your throat, maybe just take a deep breath with us. You don't have to fix it right this second.
That's right. Just breathe. It's a part of being human, and it's definitely a part of this messy journey we're all on together. Journey. And sometimes when the journey feels a bit too heavy, we need to find those tiny sparks of light, don't we? It's not about big parties or huge celebrations. It's about the small things.
Totally. When I'm feeling a bit under the weather, not like I have a cold, but just mentally tired, I don't want to do anything big. My wife is amazing, but she's a runner. She tells me, James, go for a jog, you'll feel better. And I'm just there thinking, no, I want to be a potato on the couch.
I feel you. Sometimes the best way to get through a rough patch is to just stop trying so hard. I call it low-energy self-care. For me, it's all about my red notebook and a cup of tea. I don't write anything important, just little doodles or words that pop into my head.
That sounds peaceful. My version of that is my emergency blanket. It's this old fuzzy thing that my dog has definitely chewed on, but it's so heavy and warm. When I get curled up in that, the world feels much smaller and safer. My dog usually joins me, and he doesn't ask me any questions. He just sits there. It's the best.
Pets really do understand the vibe, don't they? My cat is the same. She'll just sit on my lap and purr. She doesn't expect me to be happy or productive. She just wants me to stay still so she can sleep. It's a great excuse to take a load off and just breathe.
Exactly. It's like permission to do nothing. How about you, the person listening right now? Do you have a low-energy ritual? Maybe a favorite pair of socks or a specific corner of the house where you feel safe? It's okay to not be on all the time.
That's such a good point, James. Another thing I do to wind down is listen to what I call sad, happy music. You know those songs that are a bit melancholic but also very beautiful? My husband thinks it's strange to listen to sad music when you're already down, but to me, it's like a friend saying, I understand.
I get that. It's music to my ears when I find a song that actually matches my mood instead of trying to change it. If I'm feeling blue and a song starts screaming about shaking it off, I just want to turn the radio off. I'd rather have something quiet.
Right. It's about validation. Sometimes a slow walk helps too. Not a power walk for exercise, but just wandering. I like to look at the gardens in my neighborhood. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable, has these incredible roses, and just looking at them for a minute makes the day feel a little lighter.
I should try that. Usually my wandering just leads me to the kitchen to see if there's any chocolate left. But hey, finding a hidden snack is also a tiny bit of light, right?
Absolutely. Whatever works to help you feel grounded again.
Exactly. It's like my wife always says when I lose my keys in the refrigerator for the third time in a week. Just breathe, James. It's not the end of the world. But you know, Elena, it's not just about getting through a single bad moment. Sometimes it feels like the gray weather in your head lasts for weeks, doesn't it?
It really can. I like to think of these periods as emotional seasons. Just like in my garden, you can't have bright flowers all year round. Sometimes it's just mud and slugs for a while, and you just have to wait.
Ugh, slugs. My dog tried to eat one once. Not his best moment, and definitely not mine either. But I get what you mean. Sometimes you just have to weather the storm, right?
Precisely. To weather the storm is a great idiom. It means to stay strong and wait for a difficult situation to pass. And the thing is, even when the gloom feels permanent, you eventually turn a corner.
Turn a corner. That's like when things finally start to get better after a long time?
Yes, exactly. It's that first day when the sun finally peeks through the clouds and you realize you haven't felt heavy all morning. My husband usually notices it before I do. He'll tell me, Elena, you've stopped carrying your red notebook around like a shield. You're finally relaxing.
I wish I could turn a corner with my doom drawer. It's still a disaster full of old batteries and mystery cables. But seriously, it's hard to stay patient. When I'm feeling down, I want to feel 100% better right now. I don't want to wait for the season to change.
We all feel that way, James. But healing isn't a straight line. It's okay to have a bad day even after a few good ones. You just have to hang in there.
Hang in there. I like that. It's like me hanging onto the leash when my dog sees a squirrel.
Total chaos, but I'm not letting go. How about you listening at home? Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a mud and slug season? Or are you starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
That's a beautiful way to put it. The light at the end of the tunnel. It's that sign of hope. For me, I know I'm starting to spring back when I actually want to play my ukulele again, even if I still play it quite badly.
Spring back. I love that. Like a rubber band. For me, the light at the end of the tunnel is usually when I finally stop comparing myself to my cousin Dave and just enjoy my own messy life.
It's the small victories, James. We have to be patient and give it time. The seasons always change, and the sun always comes back eventually.
Exactly. You know, Elena, hearing you talk about those small victories really helps me put things in perspective. It's like I finally have a flashlight in this dark tunnel.
A flashlight is a great way to put it. Sometimes we just need enough light to see the next step, not the whole road. How are you feeling about everything we've discussed?
Well, if I'm being totally honest with you and everyone listening, I have been feeling a bit off lately. Not like I'm sick or anything, but just a bit low on energy. I think I've been trying to hide it, pretending everything is great when it's not.
I feel you, James. It takes a lot of energy to pretend. It's much better to just acknowledge it. It's like when my cat is grumpy. He doesn't pretend to be happy. He just sits in the corner until he feels better. We should be more like that sometimes.
I wish I could just sit in a corner. But for me, it feels like a heavy cloud is following me around, especially in the mornings. I wake up, see the rain outside, and I just want to pull the covers back over my head. My dog looks at me like, are we really going out in this? And I just agree with him.
That heavy cloud feeling is so common this time of year. It's like walking through water, isn't it? Everything takes twice as much effort.
Precisely. But talking this through with you has helped me find a bit of a map. One thing that helps me is, well, it sounds simple, but just writing down 3 things I actually did. Not a to-do list, but a done list, even if it's just made coffee or fed the dog.
I love that. It helps you get back on track when you feel like you've accomplished nothing. Back on track is a great expression, by the way. It means returning to the right path after a delay.
I definitely need to get back on track. I've been feeling under the weather, and I don't mean physically ill, just sort of gloomy because of the literal weather. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Under the weather usually means feeling a bit sick, but using it for the seasonal blues is very relatable. How about you, listening at home? Do you ever feel that heavy cloud? What's one thing that helps you pull yourself together when things feel difficult? We'd love to know your tricks.
Yeah, seriously, let us know. Because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one struggling to keep my chin up. It feels good to know we're all navigating this gloom together. It's about finding that silver lining, right?
Exactly. The silver lining is the small bit of hope in a bad situation. And James, just talking about it today is a huge win. You're doing better than you think.
Thanks, Elena. I'm feeling a little lighter already. I think I might actually go for that walk now, even if the dog complains.
Wait, James, before you run out the door and head to the park, I wanted to take a quick second for our vocabulary corner. We used some really colorful phrases today to talk about these heavy feelings, and I want to make sure our listeners can use them too.
Oh, right. My brain is already halfway out the door, but you're right. I always get these mixed up. I think I once told my neighbor that I was in the garbage instead of down in the dumps.
Well, in the garbage definitely paints a picture. But yes, the real idiom is down in the dumps. It just means you're feeling sad or discouraged. It's not usually for a huge tragedy, but more for those days when things just aren't going your way. Like when my cat ignores me all day. It makes me feel a bit down in the dumps.
I feel you. And what about feeling blue? That one is pretty common, right? My wife uses that whenever it rains for more than 3 days in a row.
Exactly. Feeling blue is classic. It's that low energy, quiet kind of sadness. Think of slow jazz music. It's a very gentle way to say you're unhappy. How about you, listeners? Do you have a specific color in your language that represents sadness? In English, it's definitely blue.
That's a good question. Now, what was that one about the rope? Something about a tether? I always think of my dog's leash when I hear that.
You're thinking of being at the end of one's tether. It's a great visual. Imagine a goat tied to a post with a rope. If the goat reaches the very end of the rope, it can't move anymore and starts to get frustrated. We use it when we have no patience left. Like when I'm trying to fix the Wi-Fi for the 5th time, I'm at the end of my tether.
I am at the end of my tether every time I can't find my keys. Usually they're just in the refrigerator, but it still drives me crazy. It's that feeling of, I can't take this anymore.
Precisely. And the last one we mentioned was a heavy heart. This one is a bit more poetic. We use it for deeper sadness or a difficult decision. If you have to say goodbye to a friend who is moving away, you do it with a heavy heart. It literally feels like your heart is physically heavy in your chest.
Yeah, that one feels more serious. I had a heavy heart when I had to tell my neighbor that my dog accidentally dug up her prize-winning flowers. That was a tough conversation.
Oh no, poor Mrs. Gable. But that's a perfect example. These idioms help us describe the flavor of our sadness, whether it's the frustration of being at the end of your tether or just feeling blue on a rainy Tuesday.
It really helps to have the right words. It makes the dumps feel a little less down, if you know what I mean. I'm going to try to use at the end of my tether next time I'm stuck in traffic.
Just don't use it too much, or people will think you're always stressed. So, to our listeners, which of these four feels most familiar to you? Have you ever felt at the end of your tether this week?
Hopefully not, but if they have, at least now they can complain about it in perfect English. Okay, Alina, I'm officially ready for that walk. I've got my shoes, I've got the dog. Wait, where are my keys? Okay, Alina, before we wrap things up for today, I think we should give our listeners a little something to do. A bit of a challenge, but a nice one.
Oh, a bit of homework, but the cozy kind, I hope. I don't think anyone wants to do grammar exercises after our long chat.
Exactly. No grammar, I promise. I hate chores. My wife actually left me a list of chores on the kitchen table this morning, and I think I accidentally hid it behind the milk in the refrigerator.
James, you can't just hide your responsibilities in the fridge. My neighbor, that lovely older lady who lives next door, would be horrified. She has her whole life organized in tiny little boxes. If she saw your fridge filing system, she'd probably faint.
Hey, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But you're right, let's get back on track. We want to hear from the people listening. We've talked a lot about life being a bit messy today.
We have. So our question for you is this. What is one thing that brings you comfort when you are feeling a bit blue? Maybe you had a bad day at work, or you're just feeling a little down.
For me, it's definitely my dog. Whenever I'm stressed, he just comes over and sits right on my feet. He's like a heavy, furry blanket that breathes. It's hard to be sad when a golden retriever is staring at you like you're the most important person in the world.
That's so sweet. For me, it's my husband. He doesn't say much, but he'll just make me a cup of tea without me even asking. And maybe my cat will join in, though she usually just wants to judge my knitting.
How about you? Do you have a favorite song, a specific snack, or maybe you just like to put on your pajamas and watch a movie? Tell us about it in just 1 or 2 sentences. It's a great way to practice describing your feelings in English.
It really is. And remember, there are no wrong answers. We just want to hear your stories. It makes us feel like we're all sitting in the same room together.
I like that. We're all in the same boat, right? Even if my boat has a few leaks and I can't find the oars, I'm just happy to be sailing with you guys.
We'll help you row, James. Don't worry. Well, I think that's a lovely place to end. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with my rambling. You guys are doing amazing with your language journey. Seriously, be proud of yourselves.
Absolutely. Take it slow, be kind to yourself, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye for now, everyone. See ya. Goodbye.